Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I am Ahmed Ullah Shah, Assistant Professor, Institute of Business Studies. Today, the topic of our lecture is planning. Some of the outline for today's lectures are planning and then some of its components, which include mission, objectives, strategies, policies, procedures, programs, and finally we will be discussing budgets. First of all, planning. It involves selecting mission and goals and deciding on the action to achieve them. This means that in planning we have to select our missions and goals, and then we have to decide on the number of actions or the number of strategies we have to employ to achieve our goals and objectives. Planning requires decision making, that is, choosing a courses of action or course of action from among alternatives. This means that as in decision making we have number of alternatives. For example, alternative A, alternative B, C, and so on. Out of these alternatives we have to select one, that is actually a decision making. So planning also requires a decision making. And then it bridges the gap from where we are and where we want to go. This means that in planning we wish to move from present states to some desired future states. That is, actually we have to fill the gaps and through bridge it. So this is mentioned here that planning bridges the gap from where we are and where we want to go. Then it includes number of components. First of all, it includes missions, then objectives, then strategies, policies, procedures, rules, programs, and finally budget. Let us discuss one by one. First of all, mission. Mission is basically the purpose of existence of any organization or department. This means that organization exists due to its mission or due to certain specific function. So on the basis of function, on the basis of different need, we create different organization. So it is a mission that basically create organization. Then the mission identifies the basic function of organization. As earlier discussed, that on the basis of different function, for example, we need this, we need education department, we need, for example, police department, we need, for example, highway department, we need other department. So on the basis of these functions, then we identify the need of different organization and then create such organization on the basis of these functions. We may take the example of university. For example, the purpose of university is teaching, research, and providing services to the community. So this function, or this is the mission of the university. On the basis of this mission, we create different university. Other example may include business, police department, courts, highway department, etc., etc. For example, next we have objectives. Objectives are the end towards which activity is aimed. This means that we are working on different tasks and activity and we wish to achieve certain objective. We may be working or we may be working on different tasks and activities, and our objective is to achieve something. Next criteria for objective is that it should be verifiable. That is, the objective should be quantitative in nature. Uh, we may take example here. For example, we may take example of university that that it should produce 1000 students per year. Now, in this case, the objective is verifiable, that is 1000 units. So, if we say that the objective of university is to produce students, then it is not verifiable. It is a generalized objective. We cannot say that how much student it have to produce. It is a generalized statement. But if we say that, we say that we have to produce 1000 students per year, then it is verifiable. At the end of the year, if we have produced 1000 students, then we may say that our university is effective. Or if we fail to produce 1000 students per year, then we may not be effective. Yet another criteria for objective is that this objective, that is 1000 students, should be achievable as well. For some university, for example, a large university, this 1000 criteria or this objective of 1000 students may be achievable. But for other small universities, this objective, that is 1000 students, may not be achievable. Hence, here it says that objective should be achievable as well. Then overall objective should be supported by sub-objective. This statement says that there are two types of objectives. One is overall organization objective and one is departmental objective. In our previous example of 1000 students per year is the overall objective of organization. Now, if we divide this objective, this overall objective, into sub-department, for example, we have 5 to 10 different departments in our university. Now, if our computer science department produce 200 students per year, and our IBS department also produced 200 students per year, our physics department also produced 200 students per year. In the same way, our pharmacy department also produced 200 students per year. In this way, the overall objective is subdivided into departmental objective or into sub-objectives. That is, 1000 student is divided into 5 different departments, that is 200, 200 and 200, and when departmental objective is achieved, then our organization objective will be automatically achieved. Next, we have strategies. Strategy is basically the determination of basic long-term objective of an enterprise and the adaptation of courses of action and allocation of resources necessary to achieve the goal. Here we have 3 important terms here. First of all, the basic long-term objective of an organization, and secondly, then we have to adopt courses of action for it, and finally, the allocation of necessary resources to achieve the goals. Now, for a strategy, first of all, an organization should have a long-term objective. That is, that it may be for 5 to 10 years. And then we have to select a courses of action. We may have different courses of action, for example, action A, B, C, and D, etc., etc., out of which we have to adopt one course of action. And then for this course of action, we must have necessary resources to achieve our goals and objective. Next, we have policies. Policies are basically general statements that guides or that help us in decision making. Now, policies are some statements that help manager in their decision making. Policy may be implied from the action of manager. This means that when manager take decisions, then we understand the policy of organization. For example, when a manager promote employee from within organization and does not hire employee from outside the organization, then we may imply or we may conclude that the policy of organization is to hire from within rather than to select from outside sources. Then policy are meant to guide decision making by identifying the areas in which manager can use their discretion. This means that in policies, manager can use their discretions. Remember, in certain cases, we may discuss in our upcoming slides, then in rules we may have no discretion or manager may have no discretion at all, but in policies manager can use their discretion. It can guide us in decision making by identifying the areas. For example, for selection or for promotion, manager can use their discretions. Then policy defining the area in which a decision is to be made and ensure that decision will be consistent and contribute to the objective of organization. This means that manager should take some decision that should be consistent and contribute to the objective of organization. Example include policy of hiring on the university trained engineers and promoting from within. We have already discussed the second example, that is promoting from within, and we are moving now to next slide, that is procedures. Now, procedures are a plan that establish a required method of handling future activities. Now, policy basically help us in decision making, and procedure help us to understand that how policy could be better implemented or how it could be best implemented. It explain or it establish a required method of handling future activities. Now, procedures are the chronological sequence of required action. Now, in our earlier example, that is promoting from within. Now, procedure would help us that how or in what chronological sequence we may promote our employees from within organization. There may be a procedure, for example, step number A, then step number B, C, and so on. It explains in detail the exact manner in which certain activity must be accomplished. Now, as earlier mentioned, that this procedure explains the manners or it explains the chronological order that is to be adopted in order to promote employees from within the organization. We have yet another example for performance appraisal. Performance appraisal is considered one of the most important human resource management practice, and its procedure is set as follow. For example, first of all, we have to select or we have to set our performance objectives. For example, an employee should produce at least 5 markers per day. That is a performance objective for a single employee. Then we have to review our objective, whether or not our employee have achieved this objective or not. And finally, conducting a performance discussion at the end of the period. Now, this is the 3-step procedure. It helps us to understand, it helps us to take decision whether or not our decision is effective. For example, first of all, we have set our objective, that is 5 markers per day. In the next step, we have to review the performance of employee or review of our objective, and finally conducting a performance discussion. In the final stage, we have to discuss with the employee, we have to discuss the performance of employee with himself, that why he was able to achieve, why he was not able to achieve his objective, or why or how he has better performed. Next, we have rules. Rules spell out specific required action, allowing no discretion. As earlier mentioned, that rule provide no discretion to managers. Here it is clearly mentioned that it spell out specific required action. Managers have to take certain action, and it allows no discretion to managers. For example, in our university, we have a rule that is no cheating at all or zero tolerance for cheating. Hence, it allows no deviation from a stated course of action. It reflects a managerial decision that a certain action must or must not be taken. Now, it is very clear that if a rule is no cheating or zero tolerance for cheating, then it allows no discretion for a faculty member to allow anyone for a cheating. Rule allow no discretion in their application. It has already been discussed earlier as well. Now we have programs. Programs are a complex of goals, procedures, rules, tasks, assignment, resources to be employed, and other important elements necessary to carry out given courses of action. It means that program encompasses the existing components of planning to achieve a given course of action, to achieve a given objective. Program may be as major as 5-year programs to improve the status and quality of its thousands of supervisors. Now, remember that program may be as major as 5-year program, or it may be as minor as a program formulated by a single manager to improve the motivation level of workers. Now, we have a budget. A budget is a statement of expected results expressed in numerical terms. Remember that it is a quantifiable plan. The financial operating budget is often called a profit plan. It is important to mention that In budget, we usually express almost all things in numerical terms or in quantitative terms. As mentioned, it is expressed in numerical terms. For example, in terms of labor hours, number of unit produced, and number of machine hours, or in other numerically measurable terms. All these terms are quantitative in nature and can be easily measured. Now we have used a management book, a global innovative and entrepreneurial perspective, written by Hens and Kunz, etc. If you people have any questions regarding today's lecture, you people are most welcome. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.